Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a book review, and it's been a while since I did a book review, but I was trying to wait to do this one because I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to word this book review because I'm very on the fence about certain things in this book, and I wasn't expecting to be. I wasn't expecting this to be a controversial book for me because it is a light romance, so I was very uncertain how to feel about certain aspects of this book, and I didn't run into this problem with the first book. I didn't think it was too much in the first book, and in this book, there's just something in it that really bothered me. So we're going to be talking about that and everything else about the book. It is going to be short. I don't think I'm going to talk about spoilers in this because it's just a cute little romance, even though there were some things that I thought went a little too far. So the book that we're going to be talking about today is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. So yeah, I did give this a 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars. I did really like it. There's definitely some parts though that I wish the author would have tweaked, and I will explain that a little bit later in the video. So if you don't know, this is Ali Hazelwood's sophomore book, I guess is what you would call it. It is the second book after The Love Hypothesis. They don't have anything to do with each other, but they do run the same themes. It is a female in STEM, and she obviously meets a guy in STEM, and romance, misunderstandings, etc. happen. So we are following our main character, B, and she was a graduate student with our main character, Levi, and he acted like he hated her the entire time that they knew each other, and so she thinks they hate each other. And after grad school, he left, goes work somewhere else. She gets a position where she's going to be working at NASA on a project, and it turns out that he is going to be her co-leader. So it's basically a bunch of misunderstandings, romance tropes, pining, lots of good stuff in a romance book. It's fun, very women forward. If you are into vegan characters, these are vegan characters. I am not. I am a meat eater. Not like, I don't really like a lot of red meat, but it didn't bother me. The vegan parts actually legitimately didn't bother me. It wasn't too preachy. It didn't feel over the top most of the time. It was brought up a lot, but it was because they had something like similar. So I didn't think it was that bad. So if you like don't want to read it because she's vegan, that's really not the big deal. Okay, so the things that I like. I loved the main character, Levi. I really liked him. He basically is a carbon copy of the character in The Love Hypothesis. So if you liked The Love Hypothesis main male character, you're gonna like Levi. He is a wonderful male character. Fantastic. I mean, he's just like perfect. I mean, that's really what it is. He's just perfect. This is, again, exactly the same as the Love Hypothesis guy. I really loved the NASA setting. I thought that was really cool, and it explained a lot about how this kind of world works outside of grad school, because a lot of people don't realize it's a lot of contracting out people from different companies, lots of collaborations on projects that you're not necessarily going to stay there. Like, she's not like working at NASA. She's a contracted out person from a different organization. So that's the kind of stuff you have to think about and you don't think about if you're not in this type of field. So I thought that was really cool that they went through and explained all of that so that you would understand what's going on and how other disciplines work, like that are not like a normal discipline. And then I loved the project they were working on. I loved the science of it. I love reading about science. I am a science person. I worked actually in a STEM lab. Like, I worked in a environmental and civil engineering lab for 4 years. So I was very much enmeshed in STEM. So I love reading about projects like this, and I just love STEM books. They're just fantastic. I loved the side characters. They were hilarious. So like the main side character to be like her friend that she brings with her to NASA to work with her, she's so funny. She definitely added like the humor effect in the book, and it was a little like over the top, but I kind of loved that, and I definitely enjoyed reading the parts that she was in because she was just a weird character, just such a weird character. So I mean, it's a lot to like. Like, there's not like, I can't like list out a ton of stuff I like, but it's the majority of the book. Like the pining, I absolutely loved most of the book. I love one of the main characters so much. That's most of the book. So it seems like not that much stuff that I liked, but it's the majority of the book that I liked. Things that I wasn't a fan of, because I wouldn't say I like really absolutely disliked anything except for one thing, which I'll talk about last. There was just something that irked me a little bit. I am not a big fan of misunderstandings to the point of just ridiculous. The main character, she got on my nerves. She got on my nerves because she's sitting there the whole time going, he hates me, he hates me. Even when he is actively going, I really don't. Like, I don't. And she goes, oh, you hate me, you hate me. And I'm just like, it's getting annoying. It's getting annoying. And it was constant. And I definitely felt like the author trying to make you be like, it's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. Like punching you in the face with the idea it's a misunderstanding. It's like, okay, I get it. You don't need to keep saying it over and over and over again. And then again, like I said, I didn't like the misunderstandings, but there's two like misunderstandings in this book. One was that he hates her, and then the other one was that this is not a spoiler, her and her fiance break up, and the whole book, like most of the book, he thinks that she is married, and she doesn't correct it because she wears a ring also on her left hand. And it's just like, I hated it. I hated that misunderstanding. It was okay. I just wish it wouldn't have lasted as long as it did. It was painful because she had so many opportunities to be like, just kidding. Just kidding. I'm not actually. Because, like, it's obviously brought up multiple times. Like, it's very obvious that he thinks that she is married. And she's like, eh. So I'm just like, oh my God. It was too much. That was a little too much. And that's definitely why it's not a 5. That is one of the reasons it's not a 5. Because it started driving me absolutely nuts towards when it was revealed finally. That's pretty much all that I didn't like. It was very straightforward. It was mostly the misunderstandings that I didn't like. The thing that I really didn't like, okay, and this is what I've been putting off doing this review for, because it is a difficult subject. It is a difficult subject, and I don't know if I like how it was done in this book. I think it was over the top. And I think it is hurting the field, how she represented it, even though it's somewhat true. Like, it's mostly true, is the problem. Okay, and like I said, it's difficult. It's difficult to talk about because people have had this exact experience in life that this main character did. But I don't like seeing it represented this hard in a book that a lot of people are going to read, and mostly women, because it scares women off of STEM, and it's not always bad. Okay, so basically the main character is treated like absolute shit by every man except for the man that wants to sleep with her. I mean, that's literally what it is. And it's not inaccurate. It's not inaccurate. However, there are really good STEM environments for women. There really are. They are out there. And I feel like reading this book, you don't believe that there are. But I myself have had both experiences. I've had a really bad workplace where I've worked in STEM and the men were awful. And then I've had an amazing workplace where everyone was super seen as equals. I've never felt more respected in my entire life, including my out of STEM jobs, by men. So, as like, it is an accurate representation. However, I feel like it only showed the bad side of STEM, and that makes me so sad because, like, she's in STEM. Like, the author is in STEM, and she understands, and she's probably had a lot of these experiences, but I would hope she would want to include good experiences in STEM. And I feel like they weren't really in here that much. Like, she was constantly being judged, constantly being overridden by people, constantly being attacked for, like, stuff that she says, not listened to. And, like, there was a moment where people listened to her and thought it was really cool what she did, but that wasn't a focus of the book. Like, I wish we had gone more into, like, people coming around and people really respecting her as a scientist, because that does have, like, there is another side of STEM than the awful stuff that is shown in this book. Like, the lab that I worked in was half female, half male, and like I said, I wasn't even a doctorate student. I was a research associate, because I just finished I worked there for my undergrad and then 1 year post undergrad, and they listened to everything I said. They would say, okay, that sounds like a great idea, let's do this, because I had experience in the lab compared to some of the other people, because I was there for 4 years. And again, I've never felt more respected. I worked with one of my male coworkers till like 1 in the morning, and he then tried to poach me from my female boss. So, I mean, I've never, in that lab, I never felt disrespected by men. And I wish that she had some of those moments in here that didn't include the guy that wanted to sleep with her, because I worked with 5 different guys in my lab and it definitely was nothing like that going on. It was a very respectful situation, everything. They were all married, I was engaged, nothing of that was going on. So I really, really wish she had included some of that stuff. And then the other thing about STEM is it's not just the men. The only thing that she says that women are bad about in this is that one of her best friends slept with her fiance. Again, not a spoiler. That is not the only thing that women do in STEM. A lot of women in STEM gatekeep. And all she does talk about, women in STEM are amazing, this and this and this. That is not accurate. They're great, and they do tend to band together. However, there are a lot of women in STEM who gatekeep other women in STEM because they want to be the only ones. They want to be the ones that do this. So it is not only the men who are a problem in STEM. It is also the women for different reasons. And I feel like that did a disservice. And I'm all for a lot of male bashing and saying, hey, men should be better. Men should be better at this. But I don't like when you're bashing all of men and then saying women are perfect. It's not true. It's not true, and it shows an inaccuracy in STEM that exists. And that is probably my biggest problem with this, is I feel like she put women on a pedestal and made the men lower than dirt. And it goes both ways. I have met amazing men in STEM, terrible men in STEM, amazing women in STEM, and terrible women in STEM. So generally it is the men that are worse, but I feel like if you're going to literally beat the men down so hard in this book, you should have had at least one bad female STEM character to show the representation, like 10 bad male STEM people versus one woman, which would be pretty accurate. So that's probably my biggest thing, is just because I worked in STEM for so long, because I was in STEM after that lab and everything, that I don't know. I had some feelings about that, and I kind of just pushed them down, because that is what most people think it is about, is it mostly is men, and it is, but there are other sides to it that I wish she had shown more. And again, my biggest qualm with this is scaring women away from STEM, because that happens. The more you talk about it, the bad side of it, the less people want to be in it. So any women out there who read this book, who have children, who don't want to go into STEM anymore after reading this, it's not all bad. It's not all bad. They can do it. We need more women in STEM. Don't let this scare you off of STEM. They can do it. They can do it. So that's kind of like my biggest issue with this. And that is my biggest qualm with this. Otherwise, I really did like this. I thought I had some pretty good representation. I wish I had been a little more balanced to real life, in my opinion. But yeah, I thought it was a good book. I give it 4 stars. The more I talk about that, the more I want to rate it lowly. But pushing all that aside, and I don't know if people who aren't in STEM would read into it as much. So I kind of just like push that aside, and it's a 4-star read. I liked it. So I like The Love Hypothesis way better. But I still had a really, really good time with this. And I love Lowell Levi. He's fantastic. I really like him as a character. So that's all I gotta say about this. This was a tough review for me, because it's hard to talk about certain topics and get them like correctly ordered in your head, because like I don't want it to come off like I'm saying men and women are equally bad in STEM, because they're not. Men are worse, but there are good men out there. There are, I promise in the STEM field, and you won't be totally alone just because you're a woman in STEM. You will have some allies there. You just have to find them. But they do exist. I promise. And it's just, like I said, it's a really hard topic to talk about, so I just didn't know if I even wanted to talk about it, but I feel like it was a really important part of this book, so I didn't want to just like brush it under the rug and people be like, oh, what about the STEM part? So I knew I had to talk about it. I just didn't want to. But anyway, that is my opinions on the book. I gave it a 4-star. I really, really enjoyed it, besides like some of the things that I mentioned. And of course, I'm excited about our next one. I'm gonna read the next one. I hope she tones it down a little bit about the things that I talked about, and I hope it's not miscommunication to that extent again. But yeah, otherwise, I'm really excited for her next book. I'm gonna continue picking her books up because I do really enjoy them, and it's fun seeing science in books because it's kind of boring to a lot of people. So she's really good at writing and making science very interesting for everybody. Anyway, that's what I thought about the book. Let me know what you guys thought about the book. I know this was controversial in the book world. A lot of people were like, it's a love hypothesis clone, which I can see in some ways, but it's different enough to me that I don't think they're the same book. But a lot of people didn't like it because it was a clone. A lot of people didn't like it for certain reasons. I tried to stay away from why people didn't like it so that I wouldn't get in my head. So I don't actually know, other than I've seen it's a clone. And then other people really, really liked it. So let me know what you guys thought about it. You can go ahead and put spoilers. So anyone watching this, beware of spoilers in the comment section. There's not really any spoilers. It's just a romance. You already know kind of everything that's going on. Like, you are omniscient in the book. So there's no real big spoilers except for like one. So yeah, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more book reviews. I'm gonna try and I'm starting to get out of my reading slump funk, so I've been reading a lot more, so I'm really excited. So hopefully more reviews coming out. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.